not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
All right, we're back with another episode of Square Talk. What's happening, Ro? And you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Excuse me. I'm sorry I missed my cue. I was just cleaning up a little bit because I know we got this guest and I don't want to embarrass nobody, man. Just trying to make sure everything look good around here since we got VIP in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so Square Talk Nation, we have a special guest in the house tonight. We got Bob Tucker from Lit Life USA Apparel and Accessories. What's up, Bob? What's happening?
Things are good, man. How y'all feeling?
We're doing all right. We're glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. Good. I actually met Bob at a cannabis networking event about a week ago called Spark over in Colombia. I think I'd referenced the event in the last episode where I was talking about the African strains. But really happy to have him on the show. So, Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lit Life and what you're doing with that?
Lit Life is it's an apparel company, and the way it came to be was I was doing a lot of events out in DC. You know, they had the pop-up events out there.
Okay.
So I was vending at the pop-up event, and the Lit Life brand started out as just a sticker because of the gifting laws in DC. So we developed the sticker, the logo. Then we put it on a shirt. I had different clothing. I did different clothing endeavors in the past. So with the sticker, we ended up putting it on a shirt. I started wearing the shirt every time I would do an event. People started asking about the shirts, and they just started selling. So from there, we just went and started doing more designs. And, you know, just more designs that was fashionable. So that's pretty much how it came to be. It didn't start out as, I'm going to have a clothing line. It just came off of the demand that was created by people just seeing me out there.
Oh, wow. So how long you been doing this?
Well, I hopped out into the DC market in December. So, you know, we're going on our year. By the end of this, you know, December to be a year. I know.
Okay. Hey, Ro, you want to weigh in there?
Yeah. Hey, Bob, sound like you was a party promoter guy with a street team type of thing. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, and that's my history. I started like in high school.
Yeah. I picked that up, man, because I had a little contact with that industry myself. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
That's where it started. In high school, I was a DJ. So I'm from Jacksonville, North Carolina, and in my city, I was the one that was throwing all the jams. You know, me and my street team would go to all the high schools, pass out flyers, we'll rent out the biggest building we could in the city, and we'll just jam out. So yeah, that's where it started from as far as like the promotional aspect.
Hey Bob, yeah, sorry, Ro. Bob, I don't know if there's somebody like next to you talking or whatever, cause like their voice is coming through with yours. So I don't know if you can like maybe move a little away from them a little bit or something, cause like their voice is coming through with yours, it's interfering with with hearing what you're saying.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Ro.
Yeah, you said you from what part of North Carolina? Jacksonville. Well, hey, tell me about the differences between a city like that and D.C. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to do security in some of the clubs in D.C. So I used to know some of the party promoters and street teams around, just in conversation and seeing some of the stuff they were going through, trying to make some money doing that and everything. And so I'd just be curious to know what's the difference between Jacksonville and D.C.
It's a small town. It's a military town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you've ever heard of Camp Lejeune.
Oh yeah, I'm a former Marine, so I've been down there.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, the military drive the economy there. So when there's not a war, it's booming, and whenever the wars are going on, about around like 2001, for those few years, the economy's kind of suffered. But other than that, it's a great place for business, but it's not a great place to live.
Yeah, I know. I've been down there, so I know exactly what you mean. I was down there in Lejeune and Camp Geiger, so I know exactly what you mean by that.
Oh,
no offense to the folks down there, but I know exactly what you
people,
mean.
But just not the place to be.
Yeah, I mean, in my recollection of the area, the business has kind of rotated in a format of pawn shop, strip club, surplus store, used car dealership, pawn shop, strip club, surplus store, used car dealership. So there's money to be made, but it really is focused on the Marines and sailors down there and getting a dollar out of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you definitely been there. 'Cause you hit it right on the head.
Yeah, man. Look, if if it wasn't for a good dose of alcohol, bro, I would have gotten some trouble down there, man. I thought I should just chill my ass out and get drunk as much as possible until I got orders out.
That was it.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about this Cognac, not cognac. For anybody who's listening, he has Cognac. Tell us a little bit about that, Bob.
Yeah, the cognac, it's an infused cognac. That's how the name came about. You know, chronic and cognac. And I was doing different infusions and putting them out, you know, in the DC market. And the cognac one, that's the one that stuck. So, you know, it's a blend. You know, I do the THC as well as the CBD infused blend of that, you know, and it's a nice recipe that got some science behind it.
So you
almost made me wish I was still drinking.
So you came up with this yourself, like you actually you made this at home, or you like how did that? Tell us the process, like how this came about.
Yeah, you know, we pretty much. I also brew kombucha. I don't know if y'all familiar with kombucha.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so I have been brewing kombucha for a few years, and then when I hopped back into the market, I was trying the different things. I tried it with the vodka, and I tried it with different alcohols. I tried, you know, the lemonades and all that. And everybody was doing the lemonades and the juices and the, you know. So I wanted to find something different, you know, that had a ring to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that, by the time I got the blend down to where it tasted good, it just took off, and it was, everybody liked it, because it took a while, because when you first do the infusions, you don't want, what I didn't want is, I didn't want the taste of the plant to overpower the taste buds.
Okay.
So when I blended it, you know, based on like the cannabis science and terpenes, you know, we figured out which terpenes would, you know, also cut down on that taste and make it more palatable.
So these terpenes are not flavored then, or it's like what strains did you use, or how did you come about like even picking the strains? You're trying to control the taste.
Well, the strains, it really just, you know, strains are seasonal, so I usually do I do a small batch.
Okay.
See how that turn out, you know, to where if it don't turn out, I didn't really lose much. But we do a small batch, see how that goes. And say it doesn't go well, then we'll just, if it doesn't go well, that's kind of be like a sample, or we'll blend that into something else and then make that a sample, or that's when we'll do like the so-called Hennessy lemonade, or that we'll pour that into another juice to where it'll mask the taste that was overpowering.
Oh,
and,
okay.
But then with the strains that work, then we'll do a bigger batch.
Say, Ro, you know a lot about formulating a new product in the kitchen and making a batch. And it's interesting. I'm sure this must bring up a lot of memories.
Yeah, you know, and I'm gonna tell you something I took inspiration from. I saw a documentary once in Japan of this sake master. You know, when they make sake, that rice actually is a beer. They brew it, right? But just how meticulous that this guy would get these sacks, or he would order rice, like Bob described. You know, some of these strains being seasonal. You know, and he would get rice, and he would have to go through it and feel it, and get a feeling for how it would brew up. And he had these books, and he would research, you know, the starch content in the rice, and I would tell him how much water to add and the temperature. And he would really, it was almost like a ritual with how he would go to receiving this raw sacks of rice and transform it, almost nurturing it like a baby into this sake. And it was, it would come out with different flavors and different profiles, kind of like what you described, Bob. Is that kind of like your experience? Is it almost like a ritual how you bring it from the initial, cannabis to your finished product?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing. Cause you gotta get that. It's a certain thing that you're looking for that the customer is going to enjoy. So it's just finding that. And, it's going to vary. Every batch is going to vary slightly, but you want to be able to have a consistency.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. So how do you maintain the consistency, or what do you do to ensure that it tastes the same and it's consistent every time?
What makes the consistency is what happens after the infusion.
Okay.
So, that's where the science part comes in as far as what's added to it.
Okay. Awesome. So what about, there's been a lot of talk lately in the cannabis world about these toxic vapes and these toxic chemicals and fake vape cartridges. And like I was telling Ro, people are going to be really paying attention to the sourcing of cannabis, like where they get their cannabis from. In fact, I met some people at the Spark event who work for Shimadzu, and they just do testing of cannabis for chemicals and purity. So where do you source your cannabis, or how do you make sure that you have cannabis that's chemical free and it's healthy for your consumers?
Everything I do is all indoor grown,
Okay.
organic, and other than that, it's out the dispensary. So I have growers in DC.
Okay.
It's legal there, so I have a few growers there. Then I also pick up from the dispensary when they had like crazy brands. When they had like crazy strains, I'll pick up from them as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that sourcing, like I said, is going to become more and more of an issue as time goes on, especially with the corporations jumping into cannabis, and they're about mass producing and putting chemicals and they're really not in it for the culture, right, Ro?
No, not at all. It's all exploitive these days. Bob, me and Loris were talking on a previous show, making examples in hip hop, rap music, all the way to Star Wars, Star Trek, and the comic book films, in which they'll take something with a core audience that's really faithful to whatever this property is, and they'll take it and exploit it and almost disrespect it and run it into the ground. And I don't think that's any particular focus or persecution on cannabis or CBD. I just think that's where corporations are right now, just seeking to blatantly rip stuff off and disrespect it into the ground and make every last dime out of it. So I think that's definitely something people involved in the cannabis and CBD culture have to be wary of. Have you considered that and how to protect you and your brand from that type of thing, or even a corporation come along and try to duplicate what you're doing?
That's the biggest reason why I trademarked the actual name and the brand and the images, so that couldn't happen. Because if someone makes a similar product, they can't call it that.
Yeah.
So for me to be the one that invented the term Cognac, I feel like it's going to be a regular word that everybody's going to know. I got protection on that. So I did think about that, and that's why I never even really talked about it until I had that going. So yeah, I was cognizant of that from the start. Like you said, like culture vultures, they see a culture that can be made profitable and can be scaled to mass market, and they'll come in and push out all the people who actually are the reason that they're even able to capitalize on the market.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, to me, they're almost like at first, they come into this thing almost in an attempt to give the fans or the people in that culture what they want on a more mass scale and on a higher level, and then they just end up disrespecting it completely. But now I'm looking at them like locusts, like they just come in and just eat everything and leave, the waste behind. And I really think the only way to protect, I think the only way to really survive that, because it's hard to, fight off these people with unlimited budget. But I think the really only way to really survive that is to really invest in and serve the culture and establish yourself with them. So when they play out what they're doing, which only lasts like 2 or 3 years, then, the culture is still there to ride with you and pick up the pieces and keep going. And it sounds like, Bob, you've really done that with your efforts to establish yourself with the culture first, and then bring it out on a higher level for a more mass production.
Right. That point you just made was a great point. Because it's almost like just when you were saying that, I just thought Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Tang Clan been out since like '93, and they're still relevant because they was true to the culture.
Yeah, they were definitely true to the culture. All right, that is probably one of the most authentic groups in hip hop history. Like, they never strayed from their original style. They never tried to be like anybody else. They never tried to change with the times. It was just Wu-Tang. It was what it is and what it was, and still is that. They haven't made any kind of shift, and it's just pure MCing.
What's beautiful about Wu-Tang though? They always maintained Wu-Tang and what it stood for. They didn't violate it for nothing. They was able to make different products tied to it. They even had a deal with the Shaw Brothers property of Kung Fu movies to bring that out under a Wu-Tang banner. So they pushed their brand and what it represented as farther than I think anybody thought it would go. But then the members was able to break off and do different things. Like RZA started doing soundtracks for films and started being in films, and Ghostface is doing independent products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bob, along those lines, outside of everything, your background with party promotion and street team and everything like that, and you're currently in the cannabis market space. Are there any other endeavors you want to take your business acumen and talent to see what you can do with?
Well, I'm working on a few things. I got I have other businesses. Like we were talking before the show, how you were an entrepreneur. Also have other businesses. Also, I have a trucking company.
Okay.
I also, one of the things I'm working on now is not directly related to cannabis, but it's a tie-in. I'm about to release an album. Also, an artist. Artist started back in high school. Everything I'm doing now is what I've been doing since I was in high school. So I have an album that's dropping. It's called The Longest Breakup. It's a hip hop album, and it's a concept album. It just details going through a long breakup and how it affects the family when you have kids and when it's hard to leave because of the children and, things of that nature. And the first song that we're releasing off that is a song called All the Smoke. And the concept of All the Smoke is how, y'all smoking together and, you feeling that buzz and everything is great. Then when that high come down, man, you right back to square one. So
yeah, that's for sure. Hey, that's hot. Is that a hip hop record? That's a rap record.
That one is that one probably more on the like R&B tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm with that though, because you got to bring that R&B back, man. It's been watered down a lot, and like when you say a concept record, my ears perked up because that used to be the staple of R&B music, and that's been gone for so long that I want to hear your stuff, man. That sounds like a beautiful idea, man. I would love to hear that and support that, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going down to Florida to wrap up everything and to get the final mixes, man. When I get back, yeah, I love it. Sit with y'all and vibe to it.
All
All
right,
right,
that's a
sounds like a
bet.
plan. So with the music, did you produce the instrumental? Did you write the lyrics? Like what or did you do it all? What part did you play in the production?
Well, the concept of the record and all the songs were all my concepts and ideas. Then other artists came in to expound on the certain records.
Okay.
And then my partner from, back in the 90s, he actually helmed it from the production side as far as, creating the soundscape. And, I would put my 2 cents in here and there, but, it's pretty much that. I was pretty much the writer and he was pretty much the producer. And then we also helped each other write and produce at the same time.
Oh, awesome. So it sounds like you surrounded yourself with a lot of like-minded individuals, and all of you are helping, collaborating to move each other ahead. That's what it sounds like, which is wonderful.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I
No, I
think.
just
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
not because as we were speaking, just like yours relationship, that chemistry and that trust takes years to develop.
Yeah. 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 Because I was telling somebody yesterday. Actually, they were asking me. So 710 Squared is the second cannabis branding agency in Maryland. Because the first one was Brand Joint, and they were like, "Well, what do you feel about competition?" I said, "Well, I'm not in competition with anybody." I said, "In fact, I don't think anybody in the cannabis industry should be competing with anybody else. If anything, you should be collaborating because we got the feds, the state, the county. We have all these people, preventing us from doing what we need to do. And even though I'm in branding and so is Brand Joint, they in branding as well. I have customers that I can't help sometimes, or prospects that I can help that they could probably deal with, and I'm sure vice versa. So and right now I think collaboration, just being around like-minded people, and everybody helping each other to move forward. That's kind of how I feel about that. But that's good that you're around a lot of like-minded folks that you have chemistry with.
Yeah, but like piggybacking on what you were saying, Loris, about collaboration.
Hmm.
It's too early in the game to start competing with anybody in this market
Exactly.
space. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And like I said during at the end of last show, this shit is war. Whether it's low intensity conflict or full scale. And one of the crucial aspects in war is know where your resources are and know who your allies are. And you may not want to get into something without some allies. An ally don't mean best friend. That just means somebody with common interest, and y'all can work together a little bit, or feed each other information when you need to.
Yeah, and I think that's how it should be in the cannabis industry right now. Everybody needs to collaborate, and they should not be competing. Everybody needs to get to know each other. Everybody has something to bring into the table. There's so many different dimensions to this thing. I met so many people yesterday at that event from so many different dimensions of cannabis. And like I said, everybody had a story. Usually it was a medical related story. There were a couple of people who have stories that are similar to Bob's, but most of the people I met last night were medical related in terms of how they got into cannabis. But everybody has something to offer.
Yeah, I mean the culture the culture with it is just so widespread that it has that stigma of being a stoner thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how it pans out in reality.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Let me
And
ask you, Bob, what gave you the what gave you the motivation to really get into this market the way you have? I mean, it sounds like you're doing some really innovative and phenomenal things. What gave you the, I don't want to say courage to do it, because I know it takes courage to get out there and promote parties, because sometimes you'll run them down the street all week long and won't make no money. But
Right.
what made you think that this was going to be worth your effort? Because like I said, party promotion, you want to hit, because you can spend a lot of time and not get anywhere and actually owe money. So what made you really think that this was going to be something that you could put your talent and skills to, and really make it pop like you have?
And, it's funny that you said that you can promote and not make any money because All-Star Weekend down in Charlotte, we actually lost a big bag of money down at All-Star Weekend. But what got me into it, like I said, it goes back to high school. I was selling weed in high school.
Okay.
I was selling weed and party promoting. Then I went to school at A&T, North Carolina A&T. And I pretty much started running a dispensary out of my dorm room. Being young, stupid, not understanding the consequences. We had a full line dispensary, and we sold every kind of cigar you would need. Back then, it was White Owl, Dutchess, Phillies. We had them all, and we ran a store out of our dorm room. And the approach that we had, to kind of, I guess, to rub some people the wrong way. We was freshmen on campus, and I'd have been cutting into somebody's earnings. But
Okay.
We ended up, long story short, or short story long, we ended up getting kicked out of college. We got arrested. They came to our dorm room, and the story behind that, I'll never forget it because Greensboro is where they had the first sit-in at Woolworths.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every year on campus, they would have a sit-in breakfast on campus. So that morning of the sit-in breakfast, the night prior, one of our childhood friends, he came in the city because his family was from the city in Greensboro, and he came through the city, to come check us out and go party. So that next morning, I went to breakfast for the sit-in. I asked them if they wanted to come, and they all said no. Just grab me something and bring it back. All right, so I go to the breakfast. I bring back the food, and I come. I put my key in the lock and twist it, and twist the doorknob at the same time. But the key didn't move, but the door still open.
So that lets you know somebody's already in there waiting for you.
Yeah. I walked in. I seen both of my friends. But my roommate was also, one of my partners from the DJing game. So, I walked in and see both of them in handcuffs. And the police officer looked up. I didn't know. They initially didn't know it was me because every room had two people in it. They didn't know I was in that room.
Okay.
So they looked at me. I backed up. Like, I took a step back, and my mind went in 1,000 different directions. And the thing is, I couldn't run because that was my friend there that had nothing to do with it. So it's like, I just had to go ahead and walk in there and take accountability for everything that was going on, And, that's that. I've been through, like Lauren said on that post. You commented on one of my posts out about the people that have been incarcerated. A lot of people have been incarcerated that have all the best ideas and all the things that would be innovative, but they are blackballed out of the marketplace.
Yeah. I commented and I've said it. I'm gonna say it again. Most of our black cannabis entrepreneurs or African American cannabis entrepreneurs are sitting languishing in prison, and those that are out are finding steep entry fees, like $100,000 application fees and all these restrictions, to keep. It's almost like they're trying to keep us out of it, and it's just sad that just hearing your story about how you got arrested for something that's legal now. I mean, how crazy is that?
And then to get back to you, to go back, so I moved out to Baltimore from Chicago, and when I first got here, I heard about the whole thing going on in D.C., but I didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it could actually be legal. So
when you talking, when you say that, you're talking about the grow rooms, you're talking about the sticker game. What are you talking about specifically?
Yeah, all aspects of it. How it's legal to grow, up to 12 plants, and how they, it's legal to gift it. How there are actually people riding around with wrapped cars advertising their cannabis businesses. I didn't believe it. So it actually took me another maybe 2 years. I moved out here about 3 years ago, so it took me another 2 years to jump into the scene and go out there and explore for myself. I saw it for myself, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. So I went out there. I was looking into going to Amsterdam out in Cali, and I seen they had a class out here called Capsterdam in DC. It was a cannabis college where they talk about branding and teach you the grow methods. So I went and enrolled into Capsterdam, and from there, I transitioned into that marketplace.
Wow, that's an incredible story, man. I didn't know about the vehicle wraps. I didn't know there were vehicles actually wrapped saying and selling cannabis driving around in DC. I never heard that, never seen that. Did you know about that, Ro?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know about that, but I was going to say the following. I mean, Loris, you spoke about, the barriers entry, how they have these $100,000,
Application
licensing fees
yeah,
and all this stuff, and Bob talking about how he went into business for himself and they came for him. But that's in the finest tradition of the American way, in my opinion, because half these people we looking to, like the upper class, started out the same way.
Yep.
Kennedy family,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Rockefellers.
Yeah, all of them started off. Everything is not as squeaky clean as the fairy tale version of America that we've been given.
Yeah.
Hell, in some of our own families, we had some hustlers and some real gorillas. And then, 3 generations later, nobody remember, and you think you're poly purebred for real. But, you go back far enough, you get it out the mud and you tussle for it. And, I hate to beat a dead horse, but, you got to be strategic in the moves you make. This shit is war. You know what I'm saying? And it's, like I said, it ain't bombs and B-52s and tanks and stuff. But you really have to be strategic in the moves you make, and you really have to be almost a guerrilla in how you. And the guerrilla, I mean like guerrilla warfare. You have to be in contact with the people. You have to use the resources available to you. And it's like a cat don't have no $300,000 advertising budget, but he can put a wrap on that car and drive around and talk to it. I just. When Bob was initially in this interview, if anybody caught that, Bob really didn't say he was promoting the street team, and I picked that up because I just kind of been in that world a little bit, and I think one of the reasons that Bob is so innovative and successful because being in that environment requires you to make it, and I don't think we give enough credit to that. I don't think we give enough credit to the game and the streets because anybody we're looking up to now in 2019 was in the game and in the streets back in 1940.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, to hear Bob tell his story of how he got started in college in the room and the, cops and all the whole thing, man, that's going to be in a movie one day. You know what I'm saying? And everybody is going to have the utmost appreciation for what he went through to be what he's becoming. You know what I'm saying? And then, everybody looking at Kennedy's and damn, what is that? Camelot. And these guys was bootleggers and whatnot and gangsters. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to tip my hat to you, Bob. I mean, I'm hearing your story, man. It's inspirational. I'm thinking it will make a great book, a great film. You know what I'm saying? And I know you really on your path to this cannabis journey, man. But I see it as epic, man. I love hearing what you're talking about.
For sure.
Since we're halfway through the time, Ro, why don't you go ahead and plug our sponsor, and then we're going to come back. And since Bob talked about strategy and branding, we're going to circle back to that. But go ahead and plug our sponsor.
Yes, folks. Our friends at New Maroon Naturals are proud to sponsor the show. You can find them at www.newmaroonnaturals. That's NEWMAROON naturals.com. And when you get to their website, take a look at their 30-day CMOS challenge. The premise behind that is 2 servings of CMOS for a 30-day period consistently, and you will be introduced to a brand new you. Check them out, folks, the 30-day CMOS challenge at newmaroonnaturals.com. That's www.newmaroon naturals.com, and return to a natural state of health. Thank you.
All right. Sounds like you
I've been practicing.
Yes, you've polished that quite a bit.
I've been practicing. Let me tell you something. I take this seriously. This is not a joke. This 710 is real. and I stand behind it.
So you see how we enjoy ourselves on the show, Bob. So we don't take ourselves too
Dope.
seriously.
It's dope.
You know why? Because a lot of times we start doing this show and we get into this gloom and doom mode when we have to report and talk about what's going on out there, and it's so easy to get, doom and gloomish and depressed that you gotta, we feel a responsibility to tell people what's going on out there, but then we gotta have fun with it too, So because it's like this, what's the old song? Joy and pain, like sunshine and rain. You know what I'm saying? So everything is in balance, and you ain't gonna have good days every day, but you ain't supposed to because you really learn through your rough times. So that pressure make diamonds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite old sayings is, "He who fails the most, the fastest, learns the most, the quickest." And you can't do that in good times. So that's just something that everybody consider when you struggling and you going through it. That pendulum, as far as it's swaying into the shitty side of the equation, it'll swing back into the good side if you can just hold on. You know what I'm saying? And I know this personally. The devil don't have no wins. He can go 3 rounds max. If you can hold on for 3 rounds, you can counterpunch the shit out of his ass and win. That's all I'm gonna say.
And on that note, we're going to segue into some of the business side of things. I had a lady from, I guess, somewhere in D.C. contact 710 Squared about she had this cannabis soap that she was selling, and she was her goal was to get it into a dispensary. And, of course, she didn't have any packaging. I don't know. It just looked like, something really raw and still in its infancy. We were talking, she was asking, well, I need to get some branding done. And so again, we don't, at 710 Squared Agency, we don't do any kind of design or any applications or any of those types of things until you first done a strategy. So we said to her, well, have you done any strategy? She said, no. And she said, well, I just need branding. I said, okay, yes, but branding is not your logo. It's not your packaging. Strategy basically is the first stop on the brand development process. So if you're talking about packages and package design and logos, you've already skipped like 3 steps ahead. And a brand goes beyond just like the basic look and feel. It's about culture. You have to create a culture around the product. The culture is what creates that brand loyalty. Like when you see Apple, they come out with the new phone, and then they just come out with the 10, and now they got the 11, I think now, and people are running around the store, lining up around the store to get the 11 when there's nothing wrong with the 10. That's that culture. They have a culture like Roy and I were talking about Supreme last episode. Supreme comes out with products that are one of a kind products, so they'll make, or limited edition products, so they'll make like 10 shirts, and then they'll sell each shirt for like $400, and then everybody run to get them, and then go resell them on eBay for $1,200 a pop. But again, that name Supreme wouldn't mean anything if they didn't have a culture built up around them, and that is one of the main things about brand strategy, because you have to learn about your brand attributes. When I ask people, I asked a client the other day, I said, what does your brand sound like? And they said, what do you mean? I said, if it had a voice, what would it sound like? And of course, this person had no clue, hadn't thought about it. And I always tell people, your brand voice, are you cool? Are you scary? Are you edgy? Like, what if your brand was a person, what would it sound like? And those are that's developed, that voice is developed from your brand attributes. User personas. People are like, okay, well, I'm only interested in people that buy cannabis. Okay. Men that buy cannabis, women that buy cannabis, kids, parents buy cannabis for their kids, like CBD oil, depending if the child has a medical issue. Where do these people live? How much do they make? Where did they go to school? What are their beliefs? Are these people that jumped in because they now think CBD is cool? Or these people who know the difference between CBD and marijuana? Like, you really have to dig in to a person's persona and create customer personas. So that way, when it's time for you to do your promotion and your marketing, you know exactly who you're going after. There's no, well, we're going after everybody who is interested in cannabis. That's too narrow. In business, you have to be laser focused, and you really have to be about your niche and who specifically. Just like us, everybody's not our customer. This lady that I was talking about in the beginning, when we told her what the price of branding was, she was like, "Oh, well, if I had that kind of money, I'd have got the soaps already in the dispensary." I was like, "Yeah, but you competing with all the other soaps that are in there. So what's differentiating you from everybody else that's in there?" You know, because with everybody jumping into this now, it was already started. Everybody's selling CBD. So okay, if I got 100 people standing in front of me selling CBD in some way, shape, or form, how do I pick you, or why should I pick you? And that comes from that brand differentiation.
Mhm.
So if anybody has any questions or would like to expand on that, please go ahead.
You know, for me, when I really think about the products I purchase, and maybe I'm a weirdo. I'm sure I am. It's the story that it speaks to me. It's almost like the underdog story. That might sound a little silly, but you know, Americans love an underdog, and a lot of the products I purchase kind of convey that. You know, and I don't know if anyone ever, when they developed their product, considered that, or if that just was a natural progression from their life into their product. But maybe that's their product voice, you know, that their struggle and that journey to bring their product to market was part of that underdog story. And maybe that has a lot to do with my mentality and psyche. Um, I think that just speaks to how products resonate with people on a personal level.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Go ahead, Bob.
yeah, I definitely agree with you were saying as far as knowing exactly who you're trying to target and not trying to throw such a wide net out there and to narrow in on a specific thing. You know, I think that's the most important part is if you in the development of the product already having an end user in mind, um, and that's kind of that's kind of how we trying to approach the branding and the strategy. You know, like okay, we're making this. We want to do this. Who's going to be the end user? You know, and I feel like from different endeavors that I've done, I have overextended myself trying to throw out such a wide net
And that's the
that
mistake people make. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and that has never been I've never seen success in that model. I make a little bit of money for a little bit of time, and then I will be burned out because I'm dealing with so many people, but at the same time, it's not enough people. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. It does. And that's why with the strategy, you get what is called the end of it all. It's a 3-day workshop. You get what is called a brand brief. And this is a vital document that answers any questions that anyone might have about the company and provides a clear purpose and direction for your company and the foundation of all your branding goals. So that's all the stuff we talked about is condensed into this branding brief. So that way, whether you're doing magazine advertising, whether you're coming up with your website, you're building an app, you can always go back to this brief and make sure on track as far as who and what your brand represents. You know, 'cause one of the biggest challenges today for smoke shops and dispensaries is packaging and packaging design. Because this same individual that came up to us about this cannabis soap, I mean, she looked like she just took some soap and put a marijuana logo on it and shrink wrapped it. You know, I mean, it, even though you might have a good product, maybe I don't know, I've never sampled it, so I don't know, but you might never get discovered because you don't focus and pay enough attention to the packaging. You know, the foundation of a great marijuana brand is a seamless combination between a great product, great packaging to complement the cannabis theme, which requires a lot more than great design, and just resonating with the customers. It must also mitigate risk, because you're investing all this time in developing this product. You also have to know, okay, when I put it in competition on the shelf with all these other ones, mine is going to stand out, and it's also going to be true to my brand and who I am and what the brand is about. Does that make sense?
That's that swap meet game. That lady was on that swap meet game, Jack. Listen, at the swap meet, her shit is top notch. You know what I'm saying? At the little local coffee shop, bookstore, you know what I'm saying, next to the seashells, her shit is winning. And I think she was a swap meet level chick, man. I think she was a swap meet level chick that didn't know that and tried to get at you and get some real things done. Listen, next time she calls, just tell her over there in White Oak, they got like a little swap meet. She'll be okay over there. But her shit is not ready for the nationwide distribution. But she'll be okay at that swap meet, because that's swap meet shit right there. Yeah, everybody need to know what level they on. And hey, let's talk about that. You need to know what level you're on.
That's
right.
Right.
Don't fool yourself. And if you need to be on the swap meet level for a minute, then go over there and pay your dues and learn your lessons, and then come and then level up and be aware. Don't nobody want to pay no price. Don't nobody want to pay no dues. Don't nobody want to get their hands dirty. Don't nobody want to be frustrated. Don't nobody want to struggle. Don't nobody want to fail and come back for more. Everybody want to just jump into the mainstream and they on some swap level shit. It's okay where you at. Just grow past it. And then that'll be part of your story. Hell, Bob was locked up in a dorm room. Shit. You know what I'm saying? He ain't quit.
A lot of people just find it hard to learn and to take constructive criticism from people who are experts in their field. They want to try to tell an expert in their field that they're wrong. But
Yeah.
the expert obviously realizes that your approach will not be profitable, but they don't understand that. A lot of entrepreneurs will take things personally and internalize things that are meant to help them.
Yeah.
The ego is in there.
Yeah. It's personal. It's personal for them.
That ego is so deep.
Yeah. Because she kept saying, she's like, oh, I could get a graphic designer to do this. I said, okay, look.
Well,
45% of our
Bye,
brands.
Felicia. Sure.
That's hilarious. Well, I said, 45% of a brand's image can be attributed to, how it looks. I said, but in school, a designer is taught how to create logos and graphics and layouts and all those forms of media, but they never taught how to architect a live brand with actual clients. Nobody's teaching you that in school. So when a client approaches them, they simply just jump in and start designing shit. And the problem is, visual vocabulary, though it may look nice, but it's not rooted in any strategy. So it's not guided by any rules established in that branding brief we talked about, which is going to basically ensure they get poor results when it's placed on the market. So there's so much to branding. People just think logo and graphics, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg, when it comes to branding. It's so deep. And then with branding aside, we got the sales part, because cannabis people can't advertise in mainstream media, which I think is a double-edged sword, because on one hand it also allows you to be more laser focused, because now you're just going to advertise in things that your audience is looking at. Did you see that magazine, Bob, when we were at Spark, that guy that had that magazine called Leaf? Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah. You see, like magazines like that, he sends them out to, I think, dispensaries. He prints 15,000 copies or 18,000 copies or something like that, and he just sticks them in dispensaries. So okay, if you advertise in that, the people who are looking at that are interested in your product, versus if you try to put something in Penny Saver, which of course is not going to happen, or you try to put something on TV, which again is not going to happen, because right now they don't want cannabis, being promoted in the mainstream. But that's
Exactly.
but that's why these sales funnels too have also, because the advertising world has completely changed, because now the day, like when I was starting out, it was get the phone book, get a piece of paper, write all the names out you and numbers you wanted to call, and call them and then show up. That doesn't work anymore. Now people don't even answer their phone. Like if I don't know the number, I'm not answering the phone. Like everybody I want to talk to's number is already in my phone. So that cuts down on your reach. And everybody's been spamming everybody. You get an email, even on LinkedIn, like people just hit you up, and they'll initially like talk to you like they're trying to get to know you, but then of course it's a pitch. They're trying to sell you something. And for me, that just turns me off. I just hit block. One of the most effective things nowadays is these sales funnels, because sales are the lifeblood, of any business. Without that, your marijuana venture is surely going to die a quick death, but with sales funnels, you got to provide something that's easy, that's automated, that you can measure, a way to sell and deliver products online. And that's why you use things like lead captures and inbound marketing, and you funnel the people to where you want them to go on the website, so that way they don't just veer off and start clicking on things. So basically, the minute they hit the funnel, you're funneling them to an offer, you're funneling them to a download or a lead capture where you can capture their email address and their name, and you can market and remarket them, ongoing. So that's where we're at right now. That's the future. And then of course you got the AI, where you have scripts that we build and a lot of other companies build that basically automate these whole processes, so that way you can focus on what you're doing. So everything now is very, very data driven. Everything now is very technology driven. And that's kind of just where the industry is going, not just cannabis, but just the whole advertising, sales, and promotion industry. So what kind of methods do you employ as far as advertising, Bob, as far as promoting and reaching people?
So the way we funnel in, we pretty much start on Instagram.
Okay.
Then we funnel them. We got an online store. We set the online store. We have on a Facebook marketplace. Then we funnel them. We have the Shopify. So this is everything that we are. That's pretty much how our funnel goes. We get them. We target. So if we put out a new product or we have an event, we'll target the areas. In the promotion, we'll go and we'll target certain areas. Like if I'm putting out a new shirt design, I'm going to target it. I'm going to say, okay, street fashion, cannabis culture. I'm going to focus on, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, California, DC, New York. So for us, like we go, and then on a demographic range, our demographic is pretty much like 21 to like 44.
Okay.
That's been our biggest demographic when we've been going through the analytics and who's been giving us the most engagement.
Okay.
So, that goes back to now that we've identified that. Now we can focus the resources where they need to be focused at to get those people. So
yeah.
That's us. Instagram to Shopify.
Okay. I like that. So as far as your content on Instagram, what kind of things do you post?
Well, for the page, it's pretty much, it goes, it's like cannabis fashion and, culture and apparel, so, I'm a post things, relevant to certain news. I'm gonna post, the new album that comes out that I like. I got this one thing where I post a picture of it was a picture of Jay-Z and Spike Lee. I post. So I got a hashtag Lit Life Legends. I'm just creating different hashtags. So 5-10 years from now, it'll be a catalog of different hashtags, and so my main branding strategist is out in Detroit,
Okay.
and he runs a pretty much a marketing company and, social media marketing. He's been doing this now for 15 years. So up in Detroit, everything's legal there as well. So we shifted the focus out there to doing social media marketing and brand awareness for the cannabis industry. So, he's he's an expert in that field. He's guiding the way as far as the click funnels
Okay.
and, setting up, the different strategies on that level. I will verbalize to him, boom, this is what we want to do. And then he has that expertise as far as, implementing the strategies. I'm like the man on the ground. I'm moving around, and I always need somebody that is going to be, the guy behind the computer. Because I'm not the guy behind the computer. I'm the guy that's out, like Lawrence, networking and running around and making the phone calls. So that, we running it through and Slice of High.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a good team together. It sounds like you're behind the scenes guy, and then you're in the front. So that's a good strategy again, because we all can't do everything, and people need to focus on their strengths. And you're the brains behind your operation, so you need to focus on the core areas of development of the business, and you got somebody to take care of these other things that are also equally important, but would spread you out too thin if you try to do it all yourself.
Yes, and I definitely been there. I've definitely been there before, and I'm not going back.
I heard that, because 63% of marketers today say that generating traffic and leads, that's their number one, marketing challenge. So it's good that you have somebody who is doing the social media, coming up with the content curation, measuring the engagement, and measuring the outcome, because it's not just enough to just post things. It's like you have to post with a purpose. Like, okay, what do we expect to get out of this, when we post content. So you want to weigh in on this,
right,
Ro? Because you got plenty of experience running a business.
Well, my motto is Dirty Harry, right? Bob, I don't know if you ever saw that movie Magnum Force. It was like the sequel to Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood. I think that film came out like...
You're going way back.
Yeah, I'm going back. Yeah, man, they show that shit on TV sometimes.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's a scene in there where I think he was arguing with a police chief or something, or he shot somebody. Dirty Harry be shooting people. But he said, a man's got to know his limitations. But he said, like Clint Eastwood, he's like, a man's got to know his limitations. And I was like a kid. I think I was 12 when I saw that on TV. And it hit me like a sledgehammer to my chest. And I've never forgotten that. It just resonated with me even as a kid. And like what you described with your arrangement with your person in Detroit, I think you said, yeah, that you know what you do well. And in this interview, you detailed a lot of things you know how to do. And you've paid the price to really learn them very well. But at the same time, you're balanced enough to know what you don't do, and you're skilled enough to find a person that can do that thing very well. And I think a lot of times people put too much on their plate. Like Loris described this lady that contacted him about her cannabis soap. And she just had so much on her plate that she didn't see it realistically, and it don't sound like she's getting past the swap meet if she show up there and rent a table. So, to me, it's just very important to be honest with you. And that's what nobody want to do. Nobody wants to be honest with themselves about who and what they are and what they really want out of life and how they're going to go about getting it. And when you do that, you know what exactly you do well, you know your limitations. And acknowledging that limitation actually frees you up to liberate you to go really put boot to ass and make things happen and to get some help. So that's just my take on it. That is one of my philosophies on life. Know what it is you do well and acknowledge what it is you don't do well, because some stuff you ain't got no business touching. Get you some help.
Yeah. We're coming to the end of another episode. Bob, is there anything you want to plug before we wrap this up? Bob?
If you're listening, yeah, if you're listening, follow us on IG. It's a Lit Life USA, and that'll pretty much direct you to all the products and the happenings that we have going on. The album, The Longest Breakup, is a hip hop breakup album, and this is something that can catch fire because it's relatable. Everybody been through a breakup, and but it's not sad. It's not a sad album. You're not gonna go in your room and cry yourself to sleep listening to this. It even has a celebratory overtone to it, as far as it's necessary for growth. It's just another change that has to happen in order to become who we need to become. That's about it. It was a pleasure. Being here. I appreciate y'all having me on.
We
Salute
appreciate
to y'all.
we appreciate you being on the show, Bob. Again, we want to thank our guest, Bob Tucker from Lit Life USA Apparel and Accessories. And I want to just say, lastly, before we close out, people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. So just like what Ro was saying, be true to yourself. So see you guys next episode. We just put out the episode on 710 on the YouTube about the African cannabis strains. That's live. So y'all can go ahead and check that out. All right. Peace.
Yup.